Hello, my name's David Taylor. I'm Director of Web Media in Chester, and yesterday I delivered a presentation to the Wirral and Chester Business Fair, and I thought that it would be useful to publish this to a wider audience because I think there's some content in here that's of value to all business owners. So I'd just like to spend a few minutes going through the presentation slides right now. So what I hope is this is an action-orientated presentation, and you can go away with at least 6 actions to implement in your own business that will generate more sales leads and inquiries for your business. Very briefly about us, Web Media has been trading in Chester for 11 years. We're primarily a web design company, but we work with businesses to help them generate business online. And our mission is to help businesses achieve more leads, inquiries and sales online. So in terms of getting more leads from your website, in our experience it comes down to 3 areas: getting better visibility for your business, providing a great user experience on your website, and achieving a conversion. And these may seem simple or straightforward things, but actually there's a lot of detail behind these sentences, and I want to try and pick up on some of those points right now. So in terms of visibility, for example, on the right here you can see a number of classic methods that we use when we work with clients to get them better visibility for their business online. And the first one is Google organic results. So these are the results that Google decides are the most appropriate for a given search term, and most businesses really want to be on page 1 of Google for that visibility. Now, the first thing that I would encourage businesses to do is to think about what prospects and consumers would be searching for on Google if they were looking for their type of business. There are tools out there that can help you do this, but actually most business owners probably have a pretty reasonable idea of the type of phrases or keyword terms that consumers are putting into Google if they're looking for their type of business. Once you've decided on that phrase, the thing to do is to ensure that that phrase firstly sits as the opening headline, the first headline on your website, at the top of your homepage, above the fold, and it's the first thing that people see. And that's important for 2 reasons. One, it tells consumers that they're in the right place for what they were looking for because they put that phrase into Google, and then they come to your website and they see that phrase as the first thing that they see. And that's kind of a comfort, important comfort to consumers, that they are on a website where they're expected to see that phrase. The second reason is that that's the first phrase that Google will see, and because it's the first headline on the homepage, it considers that a very important indicator of what the website is all about. So Google will immediately associate your website with that phrase. So you're across the starting line in terms of getting an organic result with Google. The second thing is that you should use that phrase probably 3 or 4 times in different places across your homepage. Your homepage should be at least 400 words of text, and it should be original content, nothing copied from anywhere else. And I'll go into a little later some of the things that you should write on your homepage in terms of creating a good user experience. And then finally, on Google organic results, you want to make sure that the metadata, which is certain items of data that sit behind the page and that Google looks at, the metadata reflects the same phrase as you've put as that main heading on your homepage. The mistake a lot of businesses make at the top of the homepage, they either put the name of the business or the brand, or they put something like "Welcome to our website," which tells Google nothing at all about what your business is about, and it confuses Google from the beginning, and from there it doesn't get any better, and that's why you're not on page 1. The second visibility is Google AdWords. otherwise known as pay-per-click, and these are the 3 sponsored ads that appear at the top of a Google search results page where people have paid for their website to be displayed there. The downside of AdWords is that it can become very expensive very quickly, because you pay every time someone clicks on the result on the advert at the top of the Google search result page. And the cost of each click can be considerable. In some cases it can be as much as £2.50 or even more per click, so it soon mounts up and eats into your budget. The good side, the upside of Google AdWords is that it can work very well for in my experience, short-term marketing campaigns that are very targeted, because they're either put on there at a specific time, something topical happening in the news, or something related to seasonal, Christmas, these kind of things. And they can also work in terms of if people are looking for a specific product with a high margin. And what I mean by that is a set of golf clubs, for example, that cost £400 to £600. Because what that means is that the money that you're spending on pay-per-click is actually worth spending, because your margin and your profit margin is good enough to be able to cope with that kind of marketing spend to acquire your customers. Social media. Now, the biggest mistake businesses make with social media is that they try and use it as an advertising billboard for their products and services. And nothing turns off consumers quicker than that. What I advise for social media is to think about why you would follow somebody on social media. And usually it's because the person that you would follow is either providing you with either some entertainment or information or something else other remarkable or of value that you actually feel inspired to read. And sales messages is not going to cut it. So what you want to do is to go back to the search phrase that I mentioned a moment ago, the one that you're going to put at the top of your home page, and you want to stick that up in big letters above your computer, because you want to become the master on the internet of that phrase. You want to be the go-to person when it comes to that phrase. And you want to put out on social media items of value, content of value that people are going to read or watch, and they're going to say, wow, that I didn't know that, or that's interesting, or that's remarkable, or that's entertaining. And it all comes back, it all surrounds the phrase that you have identified as a key search phrase for your business online. So that's what I would advise you about social media. The next one is display ads. This works for some businesses and doesn't work for others. It's essentially Amazon does it. So if you go and look at a camera on Amazon and then you go away from Amazon's website and you start looking at other websites, you'll see little pop-ups of the same camera that you looked at on Amazon coming onto other websites in front of you. This is called remarketing, and it works pretty well for retail consumer products, as does Google Shopping. You've probably all seen Google Shopping results when you've been looking for a specific item. So when people are looking for specific items, this kind of display ads can work reasonably well. The next one is email marketing. Now the current issue with email marketing is that it's a lot more difficult to build a list of email contacts than it used to be, because of GDPR, the European regulations that came into force last year. What this means is that you've got to get explicit opt-in to your mailing list from people. You can't just take people's emails and stick it onto your mailing list, or you can, but you're in danger of getting fined heavily for doing that. So it's a slow process of getting consent from people to add their email to your marketing list. But email marketing can be a great way to maintain relationships with people you have contact with. So that's not only customers, that's people who you've just had any kind of contact with in the past. Invite them to sign up to your email marketing list. It's easy to do using a platform like MailChimp or Constant Contact. And then you can send out an email marketing shot, probably once a month or once a fortnight. I wouldn't say more than that. You need to put high value content in, just like you did putting out on your social media, and high value content that people are going to appreciate, and it's going to boost your brand, boost your recognition online, and get traffic to your website. And then the last one is content marketing, which has become very popular in the last few years. And this again comes back to owning the phrase that is at the top of your homepage. Becoming the go-to person, becoming the industry expert, the recognized expert for whatever phrase it is you're going to choose. And then creating content that you can put out that demonstrates thought leadership in your field, your reaction to new technologies in your industry, your reaction to changes in the political climate and how it affects your industry, such as Brexit, and many other things. You've got to be creative. You've got to think about what people are going to be interested in, whatever the niche market that you operate in. So if you do all that stuff, you're going to get visibility, and that visibility is going to drive traffic to your website. And when they get to your website, you've got another challenge to overcome. Now, the biggest problem I see when I look at websites from businesses is they talk about themselves and not about the problems of their prospects. And this is a classic marketing mistake. It's not just online, it happens all the time. And it's a natural mistake to make, because businesses think, well, I'm going to tell anyone coming to my website all about my business, about me, and about what we can deliver in terms of services. But actually what your prospects want to know is, how are you going to solve my problems? Don't tell me about how good you are. Tell me how you're going to solve my problems. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to identify the problems of your prospects that you are able to solve. Write them down on a piece of paper. Stick them above your computer and keep reminding yourself, these are the problems that we solve for our audience. And you want to spend a bit of time doing this, because it's a very important part of your marketing strategy. So don't talk about you. On your top of your website, underneath the heading that people were searching for, the first thing you want to do is you want to talk about, in very clear language, bullet points or visually, very clear language, this is the problems we solve for you, the customer. So a couple of examples of what that looks like in terms of a web design business like ours. So example A, you might put a headline on your homepage that says, we can design for you a lovely looking website for your business. And this is an example of talking about you as a business, not talking about the problems of your audience. Example B is the same headline, we can provide you with 100% more sales leads each month. Now you're talking about your customers' needs. You're far more likely to resonate with those prospects, and for them to come on board and be prepared to invest more time in your website and in your business. So if you compare these two headlines, the outcome is the same. You're creating a website for this business, but the first example you're talking about yourself, and the second example you're talking about solving the problems of your customers. Because what customers actually want from you in terms of a website is a machine that's going to generate sales leads, and that's what this second headline says. So the second thing to understand about user experience is making your homepage a tasting menu. And what I mean by that is not what you can see on the screen at the moment, which is a great big block of narrative text. And the reason for that is that when people first come to your website, what they're looking to do is scan over the homepage first of all and decide whether you're a place worth investing more of their time in. And in order to do that, they need short, sharp pieces of content that they can consume quickly and helps them understand whether you are the go-to people. And you can't do that with blocks of narrative text, because people don't want to read all that detail in order to find out the answer to their question. So what you want to think of it as, your homepage as a tasting menu. Interesting, short, sharp, clear pieces of content that they can consume quickly. It needs to be high quality in terms of design and layout. Otherwise, if it's not, it doesn't matter how good your business is or how good you are, people will judge your business by a first impression of your website. So if you cut corners and it looks a bit rusty, that's what they'll think of your business. So don't cut corners on the quality of your website. The second thing they're looking for, consumers, is credibility. They want to know that you are credible in terms of delivering your product or service. The third thing is clarity, and this is where a lot of businesses make a mistake when they try and tell customers everything that they can do for them on their homepage. And there is content all over the homepage of all these items that they want to tell consumers about. The problem is that it becomes incredibly confusing to the consumer, and consumers are very easily turned off websites, and they will just backtrack, or they'll go to one of your competitors. So even though you want to tell them 12 things, just tell them 2 things to start off with. Just come down to the main 2 things, or the main 1 thing that you do as a business, and provide absolute clarity on that on your homepage. And then the last thing on user experience is track record. People love to see that you've delivered the same thing that they want for another customer or many customers. So show your track record, and there are ways of doing this. Testimonials is one, reviews is one, case studies is one, all classic methods that we use to demonstrate track record. And then the last item on user experience, I would say, is keep improving your website every week. A lot of business owners go through the process of creating a business website, and then they don't touch it for a year or even longer. That's just not going to work for you. The ground is shifting underneath your feet all the time. New technology is coming in, market trends, Brexit, all these things are influencing your audience and your business and your product. And that needs to be reflected in your website. So look at your website every week, look at your competitors' websites, and think, what small change can I make this week that's going to make it a little bit better than it was last week? And then finally, achieving conversions. So you've got your visibility online, you've got people to your website, you've given them a great user experience, but what now? Well, the what now is that you want to engage people after the user experience in a relationship. And that doesn't necessarily mean going straight for a sale. It can mean just connecting with them. It can mean getting them onto your email marketing list. It can mean getting them to download something that's you're offering of value on your website. It can mean them following you on social media. Sometimes it takes time to develop a client, and I think the longest in my case was 8 years. Now that's some lead-in time, but it can take a long time. Some will convert very quickly and go straight. They have a need that they want satisfied right then, and that's great. But some will take a long time. So don't go straight for the sale all the time. Think about, how can I develop the relationship? So in summary, work every day on getting your business noticed. Play directly on your website to the prospect's pain points and not telling them about you. Break down the barriers to an inquiry by such things as showing your track record, clarity of what you do, credibility. And then in terms of conversions, think about relationships first, and sales will come once you've developed the relationships. So if you do have any questions, please do post them up, or observations, post them up as comments underneath this presentation. I hope you found something or several things to go away with and implement or think about yourself from here. Thanks for looking at this video, and I'm going to sign off the video now, and thank you.